Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 6 articles in this episode for you, and all the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. The first one we have here is off of shtfplan.com. It says Russia readies backup system for potentially explosive with international banking system. And is the grand order of things could be undergoing some major overhauls. To put it more bluntly, a war to reset the global financial order is about to be unleashed. Preparations inside Russia are being made in case the ultimate banking sanctions are placed on them, cutting off commerce inside the all-encompassing worldwide interbank financial telecom SWIFT system. Debt and banking card transactions across real-time global network. Out by the banking entities or elites, the price for misbehavior in the Kremlin could be ostracized global commerce vehicle. But that isn't the end of the story. Putin is readying his people to divorce from the international banking system altogether and start over with a nationalistic platform backed by thousands of tons of gold and growing alliances with Europe, China, and the BRICS nations, the Middle East, and several emerging powers. A major attempt to bring Russia under heel could result in the greatest schism of finances ever seen. Then what? It says Russia has successfully developed and implemented an alternative should it be excluded from the international banking systems, according to a recent report. As far as Western sanctions go, by far Russia's largest vulnerability, worse, is tied up to the hip with international banking. If Russia wishes to maintain the status quo, there's not much that can be done about this dependency. After the sanctions were announced in 2014, Moscow set out to prepare for the worst-case scenario, being cut off from the worldwide interbank financial telecommunications system, which is known as SWIFT. In layman's terms, SWIFT allows for fast and allegedly secure international financial transfers. In 50 years, when you are able to use your Bank of America debit card on the moon for a low fee of 2,000 moon rubles, it will be because SWIFT or a system similar to it. 2 issues surrounding SWIFT cut off for Russia. Number 1, is it likely to happen? Number 2, is Russia prepared for it? Cutting Russia from SWIFT would be a disaster. Such a move we would see as very problematic because it could perhaps undermine confidence in this system, the governor of Australia's central bank told reporters. Of course, this hasn't stopped Europe and Washington from threatening to pull the SWIFT plug. Clear if this is going to happen, threats have been made since the beginning of the issues with Crimea and the Ukraine. As a result, Putin has overseen the creation of a survival plan from which it could grow stronger. RT reports there were threats that we can be disconnected from SWIFT. We have finished working on our own payment system, and if something happens, all operations in SWIFT format will work inside the country. We have created an alternative. Nabiyanina said at a meeting with President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday. She also added, ATMs in Russia are ready to accept the Mir payment system. And that's MIR payment system, a domestic version of Visa and MasterCard. Avanista Daily reported that as of January 2016, 330 Russian banks had been connected to the SWIFT alternative, the system for transfer of financial messages called the S. The central bank's website says the system was established as an alternative channel for interbank cooperation with the aim of ensuring the guaranteed and provisions of services for the transmission of electronic messages on financial transaction. There will be economic wars or outright World War III. Well, nobody knows for sure, but things could get very tense very quickly. Allegations are flying at unprecedented rate. Somebody wants to egg this thing on. Russia under Putin has seen a significant challenge to world order that has for some time been ultimately controlled by the central banking elites. The Rothschild presence in Russia has been challenged. Soros-run NGOs have been kicked out, and it seems that only all-out war will ever settle these power plays for dominance or death of the U.S. petrodollar, which is ultimately controlled by the same few hands that steer and control the central banks. World's nations, only by stealth and monotony have these activities remained in the shadows. Indeed, the only countries left on the map to yoke of the central bank are the countries that are most at threat of being drawn into war, and that's Syria, Iran, North Korea, and Cuba. So close to complete, a reversal could be a real blow to global order and orderly deposits. Video in this URL, if you want to watch it, it's called "Only 3 Countries Left Without a Rothschild Central Bank." It goes on here. It says if Russia moves to drop their central bank, or if they are locked out of the global SWIFT system, it will mean a violence, an unprecedented reversal in the concentration of power. Russia has prepared to create its own SWIFT-style system as a backup system that, while it's not yet up and running, could one day rival the primary system, and which could provide a meaningful alternative for dissenters and tax evaders alike. But be aware that behind the scenes, even with this massive and explosive change in the works, those who control the finances are well aware of the shifts that are taking place to reassert their leverage over humanity through a new centers of power. Curiously, it cannot be denied that Russia has been a player in the international framework that has been erected. They have been equal partners in covert research and experimentation, and for all the animosity with the U.S., a willing dance partner for much of what has been going on during the past century. Vladimir Putin has delicately and masterfully navigated these boundaries, yet he too is woven into the larger fabric. H.W. Bush and the CIA, Putin is a product of the KGB and remains permanently tied to it. A monetary power, this tool does not lose power overnight, and they are not above jumping ship. Only a truly decentralized private currencies based on mutually beneficial terms for individuals and communities could dissipate that power come easily. Is the tide turning? The next article that I have for you is off of, it says, explosion hits nuclear plant. Officials declare emergency alert. Fire shuts down reactor. Government conducting special investigation. Possible serious safety consequences. Atmospheric steam dumps. And there's video in this. And this happened, well, let's see, from the 18th second, according to this article. And I don't know, it kind of jumps around through the reading of this. It's rather difficult thing to follow, but it's inside a turkey. And it says ABC News, March the 18th of 2017, firefighters respond to an electrical fire at a Turkey Point, well, I say Turkey Point, and I just said that it was in Turkey, and that was wrong. Gee whiz. That's in Florida, that's where it's at. Firefighters responded to reports of a fire inside the Turkey Point nuclear generating station. According to the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Department, Florida Power and Light reported there was an electrical fire. The incident didn't pose an immediate danger to the facility, according to FPL spokesman Peter Robbins. It's a little closer to home than in Turkey, isn't it? Gee whiz. I knew that before I started reading this. I don't know why I said Turkey. Freudian slip. Let's see, from the Citizen in Florida Keys on the 22nd, it says Turkey Point fire shuts down the reactor. And then from the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission on the 22nd, it says NRC to conduct a special inspection at the Turkey Point nuclear plant. An arc flash or small explosion also damaged a nearby fire door. other safety systems vulnerable had there been a fire. A plant worker who was in the room was injured and was treated at a local hospital. This was an event that could have had serious safety consequences, and we need to know more about what happened and why. Let's see. Here from the 20th, it says emergency class alert. Emergency declared, alert declared for indications of fire and safety-related switchgear at 1119 Eastern Daylight Time. That's 11:19 on the 18th, based on fire or explosion affecting the plant safety systems. Fire alarms in the unit's 4 kV switchgear rooms, resulting in a loss of 3A bus and trip of all 3 reactor coolant pumps. That ain't good. Decay heat is being removed using feed water and steam generator atmospheric steam dumps. One person was injured with a minor burn and possible sprained ankle and was taken to a local hospital. Notified DHS, SWO, DOE, FEMA, HHS, NICC, USDA, EPA, FDA, NWC, NRCC, ASC, and that sounds like a big bowl of alphabet soup, don't it? Emergency plan personnel at the Technical Support Center and Emergency Operations Facility were no longer required for support. The Operations Support Center was staffed for recovery efforts, and plant personnel were capable for continuing mitigation efforts. And on the 22nd, it says here, WSVN looking into explosion at the Turkey Point that hurt one. An alert was issued following the arc flash explosion. A plant worker was hurt in the explosion and treated at a local hospital. So there's the information on that. I don't know why that wasn't, like, you know, plastered all over the news, something like that going on. As far as I know, I believe that plant has been known to be leaking for a long time. Anyway. So one we need to keep an eye on there in Miami-Dade in Florida. The article that I have for you is off of centralfloridapost.com, and it says Rollins College suspends student after he challenged radical Muslim hate speech. Academic double standard and complacency with dangerous hate speech is on full display. Not even a year after radical Islamic terrorist Omar Mateen killed 49 people at the Orlando Pulse nightclub, Rollins College officials are punishing a Christian conservative student who challenged a liberal Muslim professor and radicalized Muslim student during a conversation on the application of Sharia law. Confirmed to the Central Florida Post that Professor Zafari, who teaches a Muslim humanities course at Rollins, has made outlandish claims against him and even filed a false police report. Early on in the class, Polston said he realized the professor was harboring anti-Christian beliefs, demonstrated by the professor's assertion that Jesus was a hoax. Disciples did not believe he was God. Pudding and flat out odd. I've traveled the Middle East, lectured at the Shaladan University, and immersed myself in Muslim culture for many years. Honestly, it reminded me of some of the more radical groups I researched when abroad. Religious or not, I believe even those with limited knowledge of Christianity can agree that according to the text, Jesus was crucified and his followers did believe he was divine and that he was God. Regardless, to assert the contrary as academic fact is not supported by the evidence. Polston says that he was on this point. Class discussion, and after that, Professor Zafari promptly failed him on a major essay and refused to provide input as to why she issued a 52% grade on the essay. I was upset, understandably. I've never gotten anything less than straight A's, so I was really interested in figuring out how to possibly improve or at least understand the grade. This is when we step into the twilight zone. The teacher then reported Polston to the dean of safety at Rollins and canceled class because she claimed he was making her feel unsafe. When classes resumed, the professor decided to focus on hot-button issue, the application of Sharia law. During the discussion, according to Polston, another student made a shocking statement. A student yet to be identified, Muslim male, is said to have showcased a very strict adherence to the Quran in previous group talks, but this time he went too far for many students in the classroom. Try this again. He stated that a good punishment for gays, adulterers, and thieves was the removal of certain body parts. Sharia law. It took a few seconds for me to realize that he actually said that, especially after what this community is faced with tragic loss of life at Pulse, explained Polson. The Muslim college professor jokingly responded to the student that he was in timeout or something for that effect, and should remain quiet for a few minutes. Several students, both of Islamic and Christian backgrounds, thought the teacher should have reported the incident, but the request fell on deaf ears. One student who asked to remain anonymous even reported the incident to the FBI, figuring it was better to say something than just ignore it. He was summoned to the dean's safety office to discuss his probable suspension, making Rollins College unsafe because of his difference of opinion with Professor Zafari and the hardline Muslim student who displayed Islamic fascist sympathies. They had not got, or yeah, I was right. They made it clear that they had not gotten a report about what the student said and were more concerned about the danger I was causing to the campus. What danger? A difference of opinion in a college classroom is nothing out of the ordinary and certainly not dangerous. It was surreal and degrading. The bad grade was upsetting, but they were literally refusing to acknowledge the dangers posed by someone who advocated chopping off body parts on campus. Post reached out to the elite college's media relations team several times earlier this week and never received anything back. We also texted the professor, who refused to comment and seemed upset that she was being asked about the incident. Now we've learned that Polston has from school and ordered not to appear on campus or to have any contact with Professor Zafari. And they've got the letter here in this have mercy, you can't make this stuff up. It says it's to Marshall Polston. It says, "Dear Marshall, I have determined that it's necessary to summarily suspend you under the suspension section of the Code Community Standards, a copy of which is enclosed. In my judgment, your actions have constituted a threat of disruption of the college and jeopardize the safety and well-being of members of the college community and yourself. During the period of the summary suspension, you are not permitted to attend classes or participate in college activities or privileges. You may appeal this summary suspension to the Vice President for the Student Affairs within 5 business days, no later than, I can't make it up because they got some stuff circled here in this. It was on Friday, March 31st. In addition to the summary suspension, I am mandating that you refrain from any contact with the Professor Dr. Ajij Zafari and until the end of the academic year 2016-2017. This contact order will be automatically renewed each academic year until you are no longer enrolled in the college. Mandate. Contact is defined as, but not limited to, personal interactions, disturbing personal property, residence, hall room, phone calls, notes, letters, email, text messages, social media, or any online contact from both on and off campus. Additionally, you are to refrain from having others contact Sarah Ismaili on your behalf or discussing this matter with other students. Failure to comply with this directive will be interpreted as harassment or retaliation, and a failure to comply with the request of an authorized college official in an immediate summary suspension and disciplinary action. Upon graduation, any attempt to contact this student may result in additional measures of protection by the college party. Should there be an occasion when you must contact either party, you must obtain prior permission from this office. If you have further questions or concerns, please contact my office directly. And the article goes on. Professor Zafari has also filed a police report with the Winter Park Police Department claiming Polston violated the order and showed up to class on Thursday to harass her, according to documents obtained by the Central Florida Post. This appears impossible, however, as Polston confirms to us that he was with his elderly grandfather and traveling to Daytona Beach for opening of college's Michaelplex during the hours the class was held. He's even provided a receipt from a restaurant in Orlando, Dr. Phillips area, and stills video surveillance showing him purchasing food during the time of the class as well. And there's a picture of him here at this restaurant. I guess it's real fun, but I think it's time-stamped at the bottom of it. It says, I will be releasing witness statements shortly, providing I could not have been where where Professor Zafari was, or said I was on Thursday night. It's shameful that she lied to the police. Since we have gathered and the refusal of either Professor or Rollins College to address this matter, we believe that Rollins College should immediately suspend Professor Zafari and open an investigation into what actually happened. Central Florida faith leader Peter Validi writes, obviously, Rollins College has an agenda when it comes to religious freedom. Apparently, freedom of speech is not allowed on campus unless it offends Christian beliefs. The Central Florida Post has tried numerous times to obtain comment from Rollins College, Professor Zafari, and the Winter Park Police Department to no avail. We'll update you as this story develops. Smoke. These colleges has lost their minds. The next one we have here is off BizPac Review. Attorney for accused Rockville school rapist reveals why ICE let 18-year-old go. Says girl planned sex. The attorney for the 18-year-old illegal immigrant accused 18-year-old girl explained why his client was still in the country. Attorney Andrew Zezik said his client, Henry Sanchez Millian, told reporters that ICE released his client because it doesn't have the resources to deal with the influx of illegals entering America. He was stopped at the border and detained by ICE Immigration and Customs Enforcement. He was detained for 12 days, but then ICE made the discretionary decision to simply let him go. They put him on a plane in Texas, and his father had to pay for the ticket. His father picked him up at BWI Airport, and he's been in this country with full awareness of ICE. TTG. Immigration doesn't have the resources to deal with everyone coming in, so they detain them, investigate them, and find out if there's any gang affiliation, any record in their home country or in the United States, Jezik said. He asserted that his client is guilty of any criminal wrongdoing because he said sexual encounter was consensual. According to Maryland law, for statutory rape charges, the victim has to be exactly 4 years or more younger. The girl in this case is 3 years younger. Well, 3 years and 8 months, according to WTTG. There is evidence that will come out later, I believe, that this was a planned encounter with this young lady and at least one of these gentlemen, Jezik said, and added that he plans to find a way for his client to legally continue to stay in the United States. We're going to aggressively assert a claim of asylum for this young man because he was fleeing and gang threats in his hometown, he said. And there's some video in this if you want to pull it up and watch that for yourself. All I've got to say on that is if let's just play devil's advocate here for just a second and say that what in the hell made him think that it was okay to take her into a bathroom at the school with another boy to have sex with her? I mean, this is insanity. Just plain insanity. I'm gonna have here, it's off BizPack Review. Media wildly distorts Rick Perry's flap over gay student president. Members of the establishment press have widely mischaracterized Energy Secretary Rick Perry's decision to involve himself in a dispute at his alma mater over a newly elected gay student body president. The Associated Press and the Washington Post are perhaps the worst offenders, although NBC isn't far behind. All three outlets reported on op-ed Perry published Wednesday, in which he suggested Texas A&M unfairly overturned the results of the student election and in the name of diversity, and said it may have been stolen outright. While it is reasonable to ask why a member of the president's cabinet is involving himself in a campus dispute, and certainly worth reporting, the outlets named above unfairly twist his op-ed almost beyond recognition. Perry's perfectly legitimate concerns about the way the dispute was handled travel through the minds of a few journalists, and comes Rick Perry's hate gay people. Before we go further, let's review the facts of the election dispute. A student named Robert McIntosh handily beat out his openly gay competitor, Bobby Brooks. He received 4,977 votes compared to Brooks' 4,214. But the results were overturned later that night after the Student Election Board received anonymous complaints that McIntosh intimidated voters. He was not initially given a chance to defend himself, but was immediately disqualified, the winner. 2 days later, another charge, also based on anonymous complaints, was filed accusing McIntosh of failing to include a receipt for freely acquired glow sticks used in the campaign video on his financial disclosure report. A student court found the charges of voter intimidation to be baseless, but upheld the charge regarding glow sticks. Although McIntosh obtained the glow sticks for free at a charity event he participated in, the judges cited a rule that all items acquired for the campaign must be disclosed. He responded, opting to weigh in on the outcome, certainly a striking decision. He published an op-ed in the Houston Chronicle saying he's deeply troubled at the school's handling of the matter, although he was initially pleased to hear an openly gay student had been elected president. I viewed it as a testament to the Aggie character, he wrote, saying he was proud the student appeared committed to treating everyone equally based on character rather than personal characteristics. Unfortunately, he continued, a closer review appears to prove the opposite, and the Aggie administration and the SGA owe us answers. At best, the school's government made a mockery of the due process and transparency, he wrote, and at worst, the school allowed the election to be stolen outright from McIntosh. The court gave no consideration to whether the punishment, 11 seconds of video involving free glow sticks, fit the crime, and noted the court admitted the charges against McIntosh were minor and technical. Now, Brooks' presidency is being treated as a victory for diversity, he wrote. The perception that this quest for diversity is the real reason the election outcome was overturned. What if McIntosh had been a minority student instead of a white male? The outcome would have been different if the victim was different. The AP, WAPO, and NBC quickly pounced on the news, writing headlines that frame his op-ed as an attack motivated by the fact the student who was declared president is gay. Perry blasts election of first gay Texas A&M student president, the AP wrote. Inside the stories, each of these outlets chose to leave out certain facts and to add in other points clearly designed to criticize Perry and tie him in a negative way to President Trump. Here's a case in point from a paragraph in the AP report recounting the facts. It says the campus election ended with juror or I'm sorry, try that again. The campus election ended with junior economics major Bobby Brooks winning about 4,200 votes. Another candidate, Robert McIntosh, son of Dallas-based GOP fundraiser Allison McIntosh, got nearly 5,000 votes, but was disqualified amid complaints he intimidated voters and failed to provide receipts for glow sticks used in an online campaign video. Notably absent from this description is that the complaints filed against McIntosh were anonymously, possibly originating from Brooks' campaign. Those sticks in question were obtained for free at a charity event. Also note the reference that McIntosh's mother is a Texas GOP fundraiser, intended to suggest Perry is helping out a donor. All three of these additions and subtractions that put McIntosh in a more negative light are also present in the WAPO and NBC reports. Additionally, neither of these outlets mentioned Perry's expression of initial pride that Brooks was elected as the first gay student body president, and two of them suddenly dropped a few lines, making an at best dubious comparison between Trump's past behavior and the arguments Perry makes. Perry is following in the footsteps of his new boss through try this again though, and for goodness sakes, what's wrong with my tongue? Perry is following in the footsteps of his new boss, though on a far smaller scale. There, I got it out. That was via the AP, and it says Trump spent months claiming without any evidence that his presidential election against Democrat Hillary Clinton would be rigged against him until he won it. WAPO, it says, with a tone that resembled the same fury over political correctness that boosted Trump, Perry insinuated in his commentary that McIntosh was unfairly disqualified because his opponent was gay. Let's be more precise. Perry expresses fury because he believes the outcome of an election appears to have been rigged for the sake of political correctness, not out of rage at political correctness itself. And unlike Trump's claims about Clinton, Perry does have legitimate grounds for his concern about the way the election was handled. For it is speculative. All three reports contain cheap shots, but AP report in particular is chock full of them, including snide reference to Perry running the agency that oversees the nation's nuclear arsenal, that he placed a close ally in the school who brandished a pocket knife when the university discussed firing. The Washington Post doesn't get around to a summary of the facts of the election until deep into the report and well past the attention span of many readers, 11 paragraphs to be exact. There's no question it's odd for Energy Secretary to weigh in on an election dispute at a college campus, but buried inside these reports is one possible explanation other than Rick Perry is anti-gay people. Perry is notoriously fond of his alma mater. There are three institutions that are most important to Rick Perry: his wife and family, the U.S. military, and Texas A&M. Perry Chief of Staff Ray Sullivan, who worked on both his presidential campaigns, told the AP. It depended on the day or the weekend which one had top priority, he says. This must be his inner Aggie speaking, Rice University professor Mark Jones told the Houston Chronicle, because this is certainly not something you'd expect a cabinet secretary to weigh in on. Probably not even a governor. It's strange. All the things he could have had an opinion on, this is probably not the smartest move for a cabinet secretary. He must really be upset about it. And the final article in this episode is off of the Common Sense Show. It says the independent media is on life support. Total tyranny will follow. Now, take a long look at the independent media. It will soon be gone. It will be gone from Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, etc. The articles focus on movement by Google to eliminate anti-NWO thinking. This article also serves as a warning to major purge heading our way. The mere fact that you are on this website viewing this article has put you on the NSA naughty list. YouTube has become dominated by conservative opinion. If the traditionalists, as I like to call them, were to disappear from YouTube, the giant social media platform would collapse. If that were to happen, about the only thing of value that this social media monolith would have left would be the videos on how to raise radishes in your garden. YouTube knows it. However, the determination of the globalists is so great that the of the MSM by the independent media is so decisive that it has literally scared the hell out of the globalists, and they are willing to pay any price to end the threat of the independent media. Memory of this intention. Of Watson under attack by YouTube. InfoWars Paul Joseph Watson is censored by YouTube. Watson recently released a video detailing how censorship by YouTube, owned by Google, is actually unfolding. The video is very well done, as the issues are succinctly discussed, and it is also very colorfully, and there's bad language alert here, and the video is in this if you want to pull it up and look at it. It's called "My Last Ever Video?" ? The British government is strongly pressuring Google to control the hate speech being played on by YouTube. We all know what hate speech really is. It's speech that does not honor Satan, child abuse, and genocidal war. Remember the admonition against book burning, and this is exactly what we see here. The British aspect of controlling YouTube content, as well as edited, is contained in the following video. And this video is called "Globalists Pressuring YouTube to Censor Anything," and it trails off. I don't know what the rest of it title is, but it's here in the video, or in the URL, if you want to pull it up and take a look at it. The article goes on, says book burning has been an ugly part of human history. Symbolic significance of book burning lies in the message from the state or an agent of state that we own you because we own the ideas we allow you to be exposed to. A brief snippet of book burning says, well, I don't know even that I'll read that. It's not exactly all that brief. It talks about Roman history, and it talks about Royal Library of Alexandria, the pre-Holocaust period, comic books in 1948, Washington Post, New York Times, and the federal government. So all that is in here. And then, let's see, it picks up with the Hero program. YouTube has a new program called Heroes, which will bring an end to all Patriot community participation on YouTube. Trolls as young as 13 years old will have the ability to flag YouTube sites that they don't like, result in the deletion of YouTube channel. No, I'm not making this up. Patriot community will go extinct in the near future with regard to bringing public the truth. Yes, I'm talking about 100% censorship within months. And you can bet the elimination of the independent media from the internet, YouTube and Facebook. Below is a succinct account of YouTube's version of draconian censorship. After viewing the video, in which the meaningful part of the presentation starts about 90 seconds in, ask yourself, how should the truth tellers in America respond? Please leave your thoughts and comments in the section below, it says. There is another video here, YouTube Heroes Alert, if you want to watch that. Then it says, in conclusion, when the independent media is gone, it's a short trip to the loss of rights for all Americans. The independent media is the only the first target. General public is next. With the independent media gone, there will be very little opposition to the coming evisceration of what is left of the Constitution. Depopulation events will proliferate, called World War III, because there will be nobody left to speak against the globalist desires for this planet. And it's not just Google and YouTube. If you think the globalists will stop with YouTube, they won't. All of the social media giants are quickly moving to undermine the First Amendment and roll back the progress of the Trump populist movement. Soon you will you'll have no reliable outlet to go to, and your newsstand information other than CNN, Fox, and all other corporate controlled media outlets where every word and nuance is scripted, experience with brainwashing. This summer, with the help of Bob Griswold, I am moving my radio show to shortwave to broadcast on satellite and the station you listen to me on as long as possible. However, the days of the independent media are numbered, as are many of our lives. Example is Breitbart and Hastings. For all the good it will do, we can make a symbolic effort to save the First Amendment. Watch no MSM whatsoever, and then call 202-225-3121 and urge your representatives to stop the takeover of the internet. America needs to unelect every incumbent in 2018. Congress does not undo the illegal giveaway of the internet to ICANN. Start writing to sponsors on social media outlets like Facebook and tell them why you are not buying their products. The East German Stasi media time to turn it around until we lose all of our freedoms. I would suggest trying to do the above, even though the probability of success is low. However, the alternative and what will follow this contemporary example of book burning will give history its darkest moments. And what moments will those be, you may ask? I'll sum it up in 3 numbers. 6. So there you have that article. And that's all I have in this episode. Doing here, give it a thumbs up and share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. Subscribe if you haven't done that. That way you'll stay informed.